And when Drake not only doesn't give them what they exactly wanted or what necessarily satisfies them or what necessarily just even satisfies the foundations of what hip hop really is, but now even stretches further and further away every chance you give him, every time he drops and releases a song or releases a project, you're just like, wait, what are we doing here? Can I even call you a hip hop artist?
Cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out, 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 cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out, cash out, cash out, cash out, cash out.
Hey everyone, this is Whatever Kiki Says. It's your brand lip that here to be. Let me paying brown ting in it. Reese's Pieces playing brown ting in your section. That's me. Welcome to Let's Be Honest, the show where we are honest about music and the culture that it exists in. To all my mapiatlas, I hope you guys are good and grand. And to anyone else watching, I hope you're good and you stick around by clicking that subscribe button. We're gonna have a conversation about Drizzy Drake. Before we have this conversation, you kind of need to understand what type of Drake fan you are. And by my theory, there are three tiers of Drake fans. Kind of see it like a circle. Like how in the Colosseum there's the gladiators, there's the people who have like the nosebleed seats, and then there are people who are sitting up there. You know, it kind of goes in concentric circles outwards. The first tier Drake fans within the inner circle literally think that Drake is the best thing that happened on this planet. I might agree with them on certain points, like that he's a visionary, that he's a very talented artist, that he's a very talented brand, that he kind of strokes and then we do the rest of the swim. You know, he kind of sets the tone for things that are coming. And then there are tier 2 Drake fans, and I'd like to think I am a tier 2 Drake fan. But being a tier 2 Drake fan means that you're a Drake fan because of what he has done, not necessarily now, it could be now as well, but what he has done for music in your life, dropped music that has meant something to you at some point in time. These are normally people, most of these people, if they're a little bit older, you'll see them talking about thank me later and take care. Like me, if you're like me, you're gonna hear me talking about nothing was the same, and if you're reading this, it's too late. These Drake fans are very nostalgic. Drake was there for them during times of strife and during times of celebration. And so tier 2 Drake fans are definitely the hardest to please, definitely the contemporary hip hop and conscious rap lovers. They're the ones you hear picketing outside saying Drake is trash now. Yeah, I wasn't gonna mention them, but I'm mentioning them because it's only right. Tier 3 Drake fans are people who just like music that sounds good. Drake is such a megastar. He's such a superstar that you probably won't go a week or 2 weeks without hearing a Drake song or Drake songs. You won't go somewhere without hearing a Drake influence. These people are kind of Drake fans just because they've been influenced to be Drake fans by the world that we live in today. But he is where music kind of extends and kind of wasn't known to be this talented rapper who kind of emerged during a time where who is next was definitely the question between J. Cole, Kendrick. Contemporary hip hop happens. Contemporary hip hop is really the age of the internet. However, they still had this building block, this foundation of hip hop, which was the vocals, the MCing, which were the breaks, which were these hard hitting beats. Drake emerged in the alternative hip hop age, where there are so many influences as it was. There was indie influences, punk rock influences, jazz and electronic influences. So that's how we have the influences and the first takes that are the Kanye West, that are the Kid Cudi. Now, when Drake emerges from that place, not only does he emerge first as someone that not a lot of people take seriously because he's not um, gang affiliated, doesn't seem like a necessarily dangerous guy, although he does speak of rather interesting stories. But he doesn't emerge as the other artists normally emerge from these backgrounds of strife. But he emerges as this kind of um slow to the jump start, but running just as fast as the J. Cole and the Kendricks. Who I wasn't expecting him to stay in that place for a very long time. And when you look at the Drake trajectory, that's where he started. Because his character in hip hop is so long standing, a foundation of rap, it does seem very, very interesting, and it does make a lot of people have some snake in their boot when they see their artists who they have listened to for a very long time start to stretch away from those ideas. What you see with Drake a lot is that he's moved from that alternative hip hop start to this same kind of foundation, only so tethered to the global ear, so tethered to the global audience, that a tier two American Drake fan is definitely gonna have some bullshit to say about Drake. And you know what they say. You know what they say. You probably said it yourself. Drake changed. Drake isn't a real hip hop artist. Drake is so light skinned. I don't really fuck with that colorism shit, but Drake is so light skinned. Drake is not a real rapper. Drake sings too much. Tape 2, I think, of Scorpion. We know those sentences, and those sentences are definitely pushed by the tier 2 Drake fan. Their kind of only driver is nostalgia, and when Drake not only doesn't give them what they exactly wanted or what necessarily satisfies them or what necessarily just even satisfies the foundations of what hip hop really is, but now even stretches further and further away every chance you give him. Every time he drops and releases a song or releases a project, you're just like, wait, what are we doing here? Can I even call you a hip hop artist?
Move. Yeah. Now listen, that's called motherfucking bars, nigga. You know nothing about that. You know why? Cause you a mumble rapper, Bow Wow, a mumble rapper. Lil Yachty, you don't want nothing too. Neither you niggas want nothing.
That's my thing personally. I'd rather us stop calling him a hip hop artist rather than us saying that he's breaking down hip hop. Like for me, I'd rather us like push him out the room than beat him up while he's inside the room. You get what I'm saying? My favorite works from Drake, definitely Nothing Was the Same, Views, and If You're Reading This Is Too Late. But because those are definitely entrenched within the decade where my formative years really were, I don't think it's a coincidence that those are one of my favorite tapes. I wouldn't necessarily say that a kid growing up right now should be thinking that Honestly Nevermind is their favorite Drake tape ever, but it is a possibility, and I just don't want us to run away from that possibility. No, Views comes out, and already it has this heavily dance hall feel that you're kind of like, oh, had our jaws on the floor a little bit with that one, didn't you? And we're like, okay. And then More Life comes out with a more dance electronic kind of feel, but he held on. Scorpion comes out. And you see, when Scorpion came out, I really started to feel a trap, not even feel, but understand a trap influence thing with Drake. Drake kind of keeps on stretching and stretching further and further away from what the nostalgic group of people really want from Drake. But these people who are so nostalgic for older Drake music, but are also not a very heavy influence of the buying power of Drake music, because the heavier influence of Drake music buying power is tier 1, but not necessarily it's tier 3. It's people who go out and keep posting, let's just stream his music because it's Drake, and I know there's a Drake song somewhere out there that I would like, and then they just keep on listening to it. Tier 3 and tier 1 are a buying power that is much less finicky, much less thoughtful as tier 2. And because of that, not necessarily that they have bad taste, but it's just easier and more simplified for them to understand this new Drake.
His gear, whack. His jewelry, whack. His foot stance, whack. The way that he talks, whack. The way that he doesn't even like to smile, whack.
So this new Drake, he goes out and he not only just tours and becomes this superstar, this mega star, and is exposed to all of these different cultures, but he also imports all of these cultures and at some point easily just steps away from these cultures. That's what we saw with Honestly Nevermind. And I think that's where the tier 2 Drake fan lost their complete shit. And I don't think the tier 2 Drake fan is necessarily this terrible person, because in some ways I am a tier 2 Drake fan myself. But the tier 2 Drake fan is critical of an artist's journey more than anyone else. Not only was the music or the lyrics a bit more dancey, poppy, played in any Cotton On related store, but it also became music for other cultures, like the dance album for For no GD reason, we have a dance album by Drake. Who thought of that? You know? And the reason that people make those sorts of moves is that that is where the buying power really is. And because of that, it changes the complete kind of feel for an artist, a changing of priorities from Drake. The global audience matters. The audience that wants to go to these festivals in the summer, the audience that goes to Mykonos and that's traveling, the audience that is in Ibiza, the audience that is, I want to say Africa, but Fairs, the audience that's in Africa that really make a bigger amount of money for the artist. When you lose such an integral part of your audience, something must change for the artist. I think that's why For the Dogs needs to come out. Your audience is so aloof. Your audience is starting to lose their identity to you. Culture of your audience and the character of your audience becomes so watered down. I'm pretty sure as an artist, it must feel uncomfortable, or I'd like to think that it feels uncomfortable. Tier 2 Drake fans are where character of Drake really lie. And it also is where character that Drake wants to show the I'm hard, the I'm not a soft boy Drake character that he so much has tried to really show us. That's where the real that's where most of it is carried in the tier 2 Drake fan conversation, tier 2 Drake fan culture. And when those people start to peel away, slowly but surely, you're left with this just global audience without a real character. Dropping something like For the Dogs is definitely a remedy. It's definitely an apology tour in a project. I'm sorry I went out last night, baby, and I'm back. We can go out to a market though. Let's go to Four Ways Market. That's definitely where what For the Dogs is doing. That's just my theory. People have felt that he fell out of touch um well into Dark Lane demo tapes. I loved Dark Lane demo tapes. I loved Dark Lane demo tapes. Maybe it's because I was at home and I was bored, but I think Dark Lane demo tapes is definitely an underrated project or mixtape, right? Underrated mixtape by Drake. But there onwards, Certified Lover Boy, Honestly Never Mind, Her Loss, Scary House 2 was also good. For the Dogs is definitely a tally of who still is here. And personally, I don't know. I don't know what to look for, whether to look forward to it or not. Having been a fan of artists before who make me expect one thing and totally give me a totally different thing, I have learned to never come up with expectations for anything. But that's definitely a feeling that I have about For the Dogs. The summer ends and the ticket sales have kind of ended. The tours are kind of slowing down now. And then suddenly the not all customers are equal kind of is banished or is erased quickly, because now you just want tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3 fans all there for you. There's a bigger incentive to return to the nostalgia, to return to the style that you are known for. I think nostalgia can seem a bit of a word that kind of is a trapping for an artist. But then there has also been a drawback, I think, from artists from being on the global landscape that intensely. Like Doja Cat kind of went ham with her pop artistry, and then afterwards is saying, I don't actually like y'all. Fair. And I'm gonna do whatever alternative, not very popular music I want to make. Now, there is more to the cake than just that, but if we kind of just take that simple element, that simple line of thinking, that's really where I see Drake also heading to. Not necessarily fuck all my fans, because Drake, I think he is very conscious of his fans more than anything. A little bit too much at sometimes, and that's okay, I guess. But it's definitely a return to that style that people are looking for. Either way, guys, that was my little chat that I had for like 30 minutes for no reason. I'll see how I cut it down. But yeah, if you have any thoughts on what I'm saying, shove it down in the comments. Let's have a conversation. This has been Whatever Gigi Says. You're Brandon Lepiatle here to Pim Ranting and Reese's Pieces, Pim Ranting section. Now we'll see you next time.
Cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out, 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 cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out, cash out, cash out, cash out, cash out.